another episode of the M&A Mastermind podcast. As a reminder, this is your show and go-to resource for the latest trends and strategies to help you level up your M&A practice. I am your host, Nick Olsen, Managing Director of Cornerstone International Alliance. In this podcast, we bring in guests, experts like my guest today, who talk about their experiences in the M&A industry and how they have found their way and hopefully help you guys with some bits and pieces on how to positively impact you and the way you serve your clients. So I'm really excited for my guest today. He hails all the way from the great country of the Netherlands. He is a registered business valuator. I hear he won the award for Best Merger and Acquisition Advisor back in 2018 after successfully closing 10 transactions. He enjoys skiing and mountain biking, amongst many other outdoor and active activities. His firm just celebrated their 10-year anniversary. He is one of our esteemed European members. I would like to welcome my guest today, the founder of Florijnz Corporate Finance, Hans Minnaar. Hans, how are you doing today?
Hi, Nick. Thank you for the great introduction. I'm great. Thank you very much.
All right, appreciate you taking the time and joining us today to tell us a little bit about the European landscape and how M&A is impacted by what's going on in your region of the world. So let's dive right in. So first and foremost, again, thank you for coming onto the show. Tell us a little bit about your Florijnz is 10 years old. Tell us about your firm. Take me back 10 years ago from when it started. Why did you start the firm and how it's grown over the last 10 years?
Wow, Nick. Thank you very much. I founded Florijnz in 2012, and before that I was working with some banks in the Netherlands. Maybe you're familiar with them as ABN AMRO, Fortis, and they integrated. But just as in America's banks didn't do with a lot with clients, it's more risk and compliance orientated. So I decided to do something else in my life, and people told me that I'm very good at meeting people, introduce them to the right connections, and I thought, well, that may be my next job. But to be honest, when you start in the Netherlands, you have to have good education when you do merger and acquisition. So I followed education, a master education of business valuation, which is, of course, a very good driving license to do M&A. We started in 2012, and now 10 years ahead. As you said, we had our anniversary. We did around 250 projects. That's a lot. But it's also including just valuation. So we focused on one valuation on the one hand. I think it's 25% of our turnover. And 55% is merger and acquisition to clients. And of course, valuation is a very important, but we can talk about it, very important product to introduce to our clients. And our clients are small, medium enterprises. In the market, we are active in a market of 5 to 100 million equity value, or a business value, as what you say. So I think it's very much alike like the members of Cornerstone International.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And now we have a team of 8 people. You already know some guys. And I think our DNA is that we all are graduated Master of Finance or something like that. We all are very sporty. You already introduced me. I think when you like sport, you are also very result orientated, and all my people are. And furthermore, we like to do a lot of nice things together. Have drinks and lunches together. So we're a great team and family in the Netherlands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. And that's a great way to bring on new people and creating a culture within your group is to find, a niche and a way that you guys are all, like-minded and goal-focused and looking at reaching the same, measures. And so I'm assuming your clients are the same way. So you mentioned briefly kind of the deal, the revenue size of the type of clients you work with, and we classify it here in the States as lower middle market. I think you guys classify it as middle market. Um, beyond revenue, what type of clients do you currently work with, whether it's industry, structure, type of client, that kind of thing? Like, who
Yeah,
are you
it's good.
working with
This is
right
a
now?
good question. It's a good question. I think we are what they call sector agnostic. So we do all sectors except defense industry and others typical industries that are not so regular. But lately we are more focused and get a lot of experience in business services. The Netherlands is very familiar on knowledge, so we have a lot of consultants, flex propositions for people. We have a lot of experience in that. We also have a lot of experience in childcare. We have two ladies in our team, so we are very mixed. And my partner in business, Marike, she does a lot with childcare. And well, that's a business that has grown very fast lately. I myself, I have econometrics as a background, so I do a lot with data science and TMT, so software related and business services. And furthermore, I think the Netherlands are also very familiar on the food industry, and also in that sector we have a lot of experience. So to to generalize, I think we are all very professional on the process of M&A, but we only have a team of 8 members, so we're not really focused on one sector.
Yeah. So I wonder if you could help us understand, and all the people listening, what is the current M&A landscape, not only in the Netherlands, but in Europe, the entire European continent.
Yeah, very good question. I think somehow we are all global active. So, of course, we also have to do a lot with the war in Ukraine and Russia. We have had a lot of well uh, difficult times due to the energy, the rise of the energy prices, and of course the government did also a lot. That is something you missed in the United States. But on the other hand, it has developed a lot of other initiatives, like climate change initiatives. So if we look to in special to the Netherlands, I think the Netherlands is something like a mainland, like a portal to Europe. Of course, you have the big countries like France, Germany, Italy, and not anymore in the European Union is of course the UK, but still a big country. The Netherlands is just a small country, but on the other hand, we have a lot of all people speak English or try to speak English, but mostly they can handle that. And we are very export orientated. So just a small country, but a lot of international business is set in the Netherlands. So I think we have a good perspective on the market. Well, at this moment, we also have some challenges due to the rise of the interest. I think
Mm-hmm.
it has not been so far as as the Fed has drove up the interest. In Europe, it's now 4%. So prices are still good, but we have to be more, creative on deal structures. I think in general, this is what's happening now. If you look to the sales side, you see a lot of business owners where formerly, I think, and that's in whole Europe, but formerly a lot of companies were sold within the family. So you have
Mm-hmm.
second, third generation family founders drive the company, you now see that it's not it's normal to also sell your company to a third party, to a financial sponsor, to a private equity. So on the sales side, we see a lot of companies that come to the market, and to the buy side, we see a lot of financial sponsors. If we, for example, look to the Netherlands, I think for 10 years ago there were around 30, 40 private equity firms, and now 10 years later it's about 300. So there's a lot of money only, for example, in the Netherlands already. So I even talk about other countries. So I think all those ingredients are interesting for the M&A climate in Europe in general, and Netherlands in particular.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yeah, that's great insight. I appreciate that. From an industry perspective, are there any? I know you mentioned some industries that you focus on,
Yeah.
but just in Europe in general, are there any industries that are hot right now? Like there, a lot of buyers are looking to get into that. Maybe business owners might want to consider selling if they have a business in that industry.
Yeah. What I see is, well, we are located ourselves in the southern part of the Netherlands, and that's well known as the Brainport. I think there are companies like ASML. They make chip machines. They're not allowed to sell to China anymore because they're too good. But you see a lot of high tech and high tech related initiatives in our region.
Mm-hmm.
So you see sectors like, and they weren't there for 5 years ago, like green tech. So new initiatives with technology on climate. You see biotech, that is new initiatives on pharmacy and tech. You see artificial intelligence, data science, already told that. Um, and also very important medtech, so medical technology, because we all grew older and we don't have hands to help us, so we need robots in let's say 5 to 10 years. And I think the Dutch are very much ahead, and it's not only in the Netherlands, but there are a lot of youths in Europe that have their specialism in Berlin, for example, on the creative industry. In Germany, a lot of initiatives in the Ruhrgebiet on automotive. Of course, they have a real challenge if you look to the initiatives of China at this moment. If you look to electronic cars, but I think there's not just one Europe. There are all different countries, as you know,
Right.
but they have all their specialism, and that makes Europe, well, for a guy like from USA, very difficult to to find a good way. And that's what I think also is very nice, that we are part of the Cornerstone International Network. So if
Mm-hmm.
somebody looks for a special sector, he just can call me or write me or email me. Of course, writing is not from this time, but email me, and then we can help him to get in connection very very quickly.
Yeah, I think, that's one thing that I've really grown to appreciate having you guys and our group in the UK and others across the globe that might not understand or have direct access to the players in the M&A industry in those different countries. And I think you bring up a good point is Europe is an area that has a lot of different countries and cultures. And I think one thing, and I'd love to
Absolutely.
get your input on this, is because you've done deals in other countries in Europe, and how do you work and how do you manage the different cultures from your perspective when let's say you're doing a deal in Germany compared to France or the UK, like how do you how do you educate yourself on how things work in those countries and how do you manage a transaction or represent your client for a potential buyer outside of your own borders? Like, how do you go about doing that?
Well, that's a great question, and I have to tell you, that is every time a challenge. For example, Belgium is a little country near the Netherlands,
Hmm.
just as small as the Netherlands, but they have such another culture you cannot imagine. I think we are more close if we look to culture than we are with the Belgians,
Hmm.
and that has to do with the very long past of religion. We were at war for 80 years with the Belgians. They speak French and they speak Dutch. Well, something it's called like Dutch. It's not real Dutch.
Hmm.
So on the one hand, it's very close. On the other hand, culture-wise, it's very very far away. So what we do when we have a potential buyer in Belgium. I also worked quite a long time with Fortis, and Fortis was a Belgian bank. Is that there are some culture tips you have to do when you deal with Belgians. For example, the Dutch are very directly in what they want, and the Belgians are not. They're very soft guys. They listen well, and afterwards you can hear from them if they will like you or not. So you have to yeah, get in contact in the right way with those with the Belgian guys. And for example, when you start a company in Belgium, you should never do that as a Dutch guy. So then you have to hire a Belgian and do the job for you. So he feels the culture from the bottom of his heart.
Yeah.
Um, so you have to respect in culture, and you have to work with the local guys. And somehow that's one of the best tips. So we have also a network, not only with you guys, but in Europe with other M&A firms. So we get the right introduction from the local guys.
Hmm.
And of course, you have to know how they look to certain complex deals and issues
Hmm.
as a foreign guy.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, pretty much you have to do your due diligence to understand their culture and how they operate, right? And then, really try to abide by that as much as possible.
Correct. And you have also a lot of challenges regarding to the content of a deal, because you don't have just one legacy. Um, you have, for example, you need a Dutch M&A lawyer if you sell
Hmm.
a Dutch entity. You cannot use a German one because they have a different law
Yeah, right,
and different
right.
rules. So the run tip is when you do business in Europe, you have at least have a team that has local people.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, good to know. And sometimes, when you're doing deals in other countries, you might not realize that early on, and you're going to find out over the course of the deal that that's necessary, right? So might as well get out in front of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Well, another example is if you compare to the Germans, that is our other neighbor, but they're really big. And we had something like a war quite some while ago, but we already forgot about that. But I just want to say there's also a lot of history in Europe. You
right.
cannot just put it aside. But the Dutch language is when you speak is very much like the German language, so that helps. A
Hmm.
lot of Dutch people also speak German,
Hmm.
so language also helps to get connected.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I can imagine, Nick, that you thinking just right now, wow, what a complex region is it?
It is. I mean, it's comparable. Is correct, right? In the United States, we have states, and we all speak the same language, and essentially, it's a melting pot, but it's essentially kind of the same, culture. and language. But in Europe, I mean, it's probably a little smaller geographically speaking, but as how many different countries and cultures and languages have to deal with, but in Europe you do.
Absolutely. And it's funny because people from Europe always say the Americans, they even don't know where the Netherlands is. Then they point out something like Norway. But on the other hand, we as Europeans also don't know all the states by name and can count them on the card.
Yeah.
So we're not better because that's what I experienced when I was in the United States. And that's, I think, also a great USP of the network that you have 28 states represented in the Cornerstone network.
Hmm.
So it's a real good coverage of Americas.
Hmm.
We just think, okay, it's Silicon Valley and the eastern part where it happens, but it's of course
Yeah.
it's not. It's so really big.
Yeah. 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 It
Nice.
is very true. I know where the Netherlands is. I know where it is.
I know, I know. You come when we have our 15th anniversary. I already
Yep.
noted that one.
Absolutely. I'm in. Um, so so if you were so let me kind of pose this question to you. If you were an M&A advisor in the United States and you were looking at finding a buyer in Europe, like what advice would you give someone in the in the US working with a potential buyer in Europe? Any tips, tricks, or things that they should maybe know?
Yeah, of course, it depends on the sector, depends on the size. Is it a strategic deal or it's more like investment? But we already have quite some good contacts with American investment firms looking after European targets in a certain sector,
Mhm.
and it helps. Well, for private equity, it helps when you have a real sector focus, of course, a real
Yep.
proposition, buy and build strategy, and proven track record. If you look to strategic parties, I think, well, there are a lot of databases, of course, where you can find targets, but it helps when you have personal contacts to get introduced. I think there's a lot of M&A activity in London, of course. Just what you compared with the Cornerstone network, it's you have, well, the top league like Goldman Sachs
Mhm.
and Morgan Stanley. Okay, they have their contacts, of course, in the UK, Frankfurt, and Paris. But in the lower mid market, then it's much more difficult to get the right contacts. And yeah, me, for example, I can help if you look after certain propositions in the Netherlands.
Mhm.
Then our network is a great start to just, well, explore what's possible. Um, yeah, and then you can take it from there. Um, I've also looked to the opposite side. For us, it's yeah, well, important reason to join a network is that I think the Dutch, and we mainly focus to the Dutch market, but they are really American orientated. So a lot of Dutch companies are sold to Americans.
Mhm.
So we can help them also to directly to networks. So that was the reason for us, and also for Dutch companies that do buy and build strategy in America. So when I come to our conference, I also will take a couple of potential targets I'm looking after in America, and then,
Mhm.
well, we just explore, like, talking about it and get introduced to people that have contacts in the sector.
Mhm.
Um, is that a good answer for your question? Because you
Yeah.
asked for the sell side mandate.
Yeah. What about the opposite way? What about you as like you just talked about bringing some opportunities to the U.S. What should M&A firms who in the U.S. who could help you guys find buyers? Like, how could we help you as an M&A practice find strategic buyers who are in your market looking to, get into the United States?
Yeah, I think to talk about it, and also, but you already do that, is to help with use the databases that are available on an effective way. And but also, just what I said, I think the Europeans are much focused to the well, to California, of course, and
Mm-hmm.
to the eastern part. But there are so many more states that are that give maybe possible big companies to get introduced to. Um, so I hope that our network will help us to get well really quick introductions for potential mandates. And I think, well, I know the Dutch market very well. There's a lot of technology in the Dutch market, and I think that that's very interesting for USA M&A buyers at the moment,
Mm-hmm.
especially investment firms.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, no doubt. Technology is definitely becoming more prevalent and a lot more companies out there, and especially the artificial intelligence side of things is definitely going strong right now. Have you dove into learning more about artificial intelligence yet?
Yeah, it's more like a buzzword since Chat GPT started, but we are already for 5 years involved in that, and I think we have around 300 companies that we follow in the Netherlands. Oh, just active in the artificial intelligence market, and
Mm-hmm.
that's sometimes it's more like they do software implementations. Sometimes they are more like flex people, like data solution, data engineering. So you have all types of businesses active in that data science. We also made a market analysis of that. I can share that with you
Yeah, that'd be great.
later on, of course. Um, so everything, yeah, well, it has impact to all type of sector and businesses. It's something like the internet in the starting of this century.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't know who the winners are, what applications are the winners. You also see it to the big American tech companies. They're also very. I thought last week there was a big takeover from, I believe it was Google that bought an artificial intelligence company for 4 billion. They even exist for 2 years, and well, that quite some people's amazing. So okay, we'll see what will happen. It's not that's unfortunately not our market, but we have a lot of small companies with
Yeah.
interesting applications. So if there are any American M&A advisors that would be involved in that or just talk about it and look after, then yeah, we should get in touch with them.
Yeah, that's great. I think that's just an industry that, a lot of questions, and if you know the right people, you can get a lot of answers to, and you're the right person for that, or you and your team are. So appreciate you offering that up. Um, and I know you talked about, and I think, kind of the highlight or the theme of our conversation today is, within the European market and other, the Netherlands market, outside, and, with what Cornerstone International Alliance does, and you being a member, I think, for over 2 years now. The ability to have people in those markets that can help you, one, if you have opportunities to work on a transaction in those markets, or two, even and talk about this, like, as you're pitching a client and you want to be able to bring their deal to more areas. I think I'd feel like that's got to be a big selling point for you and for your clients as they're looking to. You're not only looking your local markets, but looking across the globe, and you have access to 27, 28 firms with people in those markets. How valuable is that for you guys?
Yeah, at first, for the marketing point of view, it's absolutely valuable because, well, if you are a business owner, you sell your company just once, and it has to be the best price, the best conditions. And then,
Hmm.
of course, you also want to know what are the opportunities from outside the Netherlands. And of course, Europe is an interesting alternative, depending on the sector and the size, but also the cross border to the United States, because the eastern part of Europe is now over, and the Russian part and Ukraine part. So that's a pity, in particular for the guys that live there. But you don't see any M&A activity, of course, to that region. If we look to the Asian part, it's also difficult with China. It's also more country orientated now. So the opportunities are between Europe and the United States. So I believe that there will be more deal flow the coming years, and we can learn a lot of from each other. For example, on climate change and climate control, we need all the help together to get the job done to save the earth. So,
Hmm.
and there are a lot of good initiatives. So we only have to share them.
Hmm. Absolutely. And I think, just even in, working together, we're connected through this network. Um, and as we're looking to bring more value to that European area, if I would say, hey, Hans, if you're looking, if you're talking to other M&A firms out there in the European market, and how would what would your pitch be for them to say, hey, you might want to check out this Cornerstone International Alliance. It's something that can be of value to you. Like, what are the value propositions that you've experienced, and what you would say, hey, other firms, you could probably get this out of it as well, like we do.
I would say they have a nice chairman. His name is Nick, and he helps you every day. And
I
he
did
has
not
other
pay you to say
support as
that.
well. Another support. Okay, that's I'm making fun of it. No, but really, I think it's also that when you know each other and we already met, and I'm looking forward to our conference.
Hmm.
And it takes time to know each other, to know what the business is. And of course, we have all the digital support, but still, it's people's business. So I
Yeah.
also trust in, and I have a little bit patience in that. I think from a marketing point of view, it's absolutely a good proposition that we have you guys. If I look to the projects, well, we had some projects, and we have a buying mandate from an American investment firm now. So yeah, you said it's already 2 years. Well, time is flying.
Hmm.
Um, but well, I still believe in the power of the network, and I think what's really a big advantage that you are, well, the greatest network in the United States. In if you cover, if you look to the coverage of the regions, I think
Yeah.
28 firms now in 28 states. Wow, it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great
Absolutely.
job.
No, I appreciate that, and we're lucky to have you be a part of our group. I think, as we look to grow our markets, you're going to be and you have been, an integral part in bringing more opportunities to the European market, and looking forward to growing our footprint there as well with you guys. And appreciate you being a part of our group and all the collaboration and all the this it's a give and take, and everybody's good at offering up information, and so it's been great to see. And I too am very much looking forward to seeing you again, and it's been about a year, I think, since we last saw each other in person. And we're getting together here in a couple of weeks, and going to have a great day, a great conference. We do that twice a year. A lot of great discussions, learning happening, a lot of fun, a lot of socializing, which is, like you said before, getting to know each other on a personal level is huge, and you can't replicate that anywhere else but other than in person. So we find that still very important. We did a good job during COVID of being virtual, but I think we were all a little Zoom fatigued, and now able to get back together in person is going to be good. So
Absolutely.
definitely looking forward to seeing you there and the rest of our group,
Absolutely.
and looking to a great day of conversations and learning from each other.
Absolutely. And also, we are very grateful to the network. Also, like organizing workshop and principal meetings and share best practices. It's also very interesting to hear what type of fee structures you guys do within M&A.
Mm-hmm.
Here, some things work different, but we also learn a lot of things, and we can implement. It's also we try a lot of things that we learn from you guys. So,
Mm-hmm.
well, very grateful for that, Nick.
Yeah. Well, Hans, I appreciate you joining us today, and thank you very much for all the insights into the European and the Netherlands market. Really appreciate that. I learned a lot. I know our viewers will learn a lot, and hopefully can reach out to you with questions about how to navigate the M&A landscape in Europe. You're a go-to guy now, so appreciate you joining. Where for our listeners, where can they find you and more information about your company? If someone wants to find you, where can they go? Website, email, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you have all the figures of on the website, Florijnz.nl, and my email, hans@florijnz.nl, but you will share that with them, I think.
Absolutely. Yep. So thank you again, Hans, for joining us. And thank you all for watching today's episode. Really appreciate the support and some great knowledge shared by Hans. So appreciate you. And be sure to check out all of our podcast episodes at cornerstoneia.com/podcast. And it would help Hans out, help myself out, if you could like, share, and comment on this episode and share it with anybody who you feel might benefit from the contents of it. Hans, great talking to you again, and looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks, and can't wait to grab a cocktail and dinner and have some great discussions.
Great. Very looking forward for it as well. Bye bye.
Okay, bye.
Thanks, Nick.
Thanks.